start with the new Li-Fi technology. Not only are they moving us from Wi-Fi into Li-Fi, but Li-Fi uses LED lights to transfer information. So what's the real reason that they're herding us all into using LED lights, LED bulbs instead of incandescent bulbs? Is it really environmental? Is it really to save on resources and save the poor billions of dollars in electric bills because LED lights are so much more efficient? Or is there something else going on here?
Imagine a world where light becomes data. We all know how a light bulb works. When an electrical current is applied to an LED light bulb, a constant stream of light is emitted from the bulb, which we see as illumination. The current, and therefore the light, can be modulated at extremely high speeds. This can be detected by a photodetector and converted back to electrical current, therefore carrying data. This is the nervous system of an internet revolution.
Li-Fi stands for Light Fidelity, a high-speed bidirectional wireless communications technology that uses light waves from LEDs rather than radio waves. Downstream data is transmitted by light, and upstream data via an infrared emitter.
That is, the waves that carry the energy cycle at a much faster rate than radio waves. Light also has a frequency range 10,000 times greater than radio waves, going up to 790 terahertz versus a maximum of 300 gigahertz for radio waves.
So from the introduction of wireless technology at all and this Internet of Things where they connect us wirelessly, before light waves, it was just regular Wi-Fi radio waves, which are essentially the same thing, but they resonate at different frequencies. So the new LED technology are just higher frequency in the visible light range. But anyway, the scary thing is that they've built this entire prison network around us, a literal invisible prison, a spider web, an invisible spider web called the Internet of Things. And they've told us how wonderful it is that we should have all of this technology that monitors what food is in our refrigerator, because certainly that needs to be connected to the Internet of Things. They need to know how much energy we're using in our appliances. They've put all the smart meters in. But the point is that there is an Internet of Things, whether you are using smart appliances or smartphones or smart cars or not. If you are, this is what we're talking about. They want everything connected to the Internet of Things so that they can monitor every single thing you do. But honestly, as high tech as this all seems, it's really very primitive.
It's really very primitive.
This is compared to Li-Fi, this is super primitive. This is what they have in mind, which is already happening. We're so blinded, we don't even realize when we buy all of these LED lights and we put them in our house that they can, through the electrical wires in our house, they can broadcast their frequencies right on top of us, right? If you've watched my brain video about how the brain is a receiver, this is a bigger deal than just them accessing everything in your home. The LED system acts as instant tracking devices because each light acts as a separate IP address, so they can track your movement through your own home. They can broadcast data in light waves into your brain and into your devices. So if you have LED lights in your home right now or in your office, that technology is already accessible to the people in the know. And of course, the Big Brother controllers want to. They've been doing it forever. This is an old article from like 2012. That's 6 years ago. CIA Director David Petraeus recently announced that the government can use our household appliances to spy on us through microprocessors embedded in every household appliance, smart meter, cell phone, blah, 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 blah. The CIA is able to remotely intercept and access all of your information and all of this stuff. But again, like I said, this is primitive. Items of interest will be located, identified, monitored, and remotely controlled through technologies such as radio frequency identification, the RFID chips, which I'll go into here in a minute about how Elon Musk and everybody in the transhumanist movement and how they want these RFID chips. They want neural implants to biologically link our nervous systems and our brain into the Internet of Things. But anyway, remotely controlled through technologies such as RFID chips, sensor networks, tiny embedded servers, and energy harvesters, all connected to the next generation internet using abundant, low cost, and high power computing. The latter now going to cloud computing, in many areas greater and greater supercomputing, and ultimately heading to quantum computing. And we know all of that's here. It's here now. This is an article from 2012. They were trying to forcibly make everybody change over from incandescent bulbs that we've all used since light bulbs were invented to LED. Phase out of incandescent light bulbs. These wonderful saviors of ours, these global controllers who want to force us to put all these LED bulbs in. Governments around the world have passed measures to phase out incandescent light bulbs for general lighting in favor of more energy efficient lighting alternatives. Phase out regulations effectively ban the manufacture, importation, or even the sale of incandescent light bulbs for general lighting. Look how far back this started. Brazil and Venezuela started the phase out in 2005. And the European Union, Switzerland, and Australia started to phase them out in 2009. Likewise, other nations are implementing new energy standards or have scheduled phase outs. Argentina and Russia in 2012, and the United States, Canada, Mexico, Malaysia, and South Korea in 2014. Which we remember. Here's an article. Obama says, quote, "I will immediately sign a law that begins to phase out all incandescent light bulbs, a measure that will save American consumers $6 billion a year on their electric bills." Oh, thank you, Obama, for socially engineering us and forcing us and making choices for us. Oh, how lucky we are that you are so much smarter than us and you're here to save us by making us put light bulbs, LED bulbs in our homes so we can be under constant surveillance and frequencies can continually be beamed on top of us no matter what room of the house we're in.
Here, my friends, is where the new Russian intelligence weapon enters the picture. What I am about to reveal, I am revealing primarily for history. I know even before I reveal it that some of my listeners will desert me after they hear it, saying it just cannot be. But, my friends, I also know that the events in the days ahead will be impossible to understand without knowing this secret. So I do not ask that you believe it simply because I say it. What I do ask, and I ask it for your own good, is that you keep an open mind. Listen and hear what I must now reveal. Then watch events themselves. My friends, since World War II and before, scientists the world over have been probing for the basic secrets of life itself. And in this field, as in others, progress has been much faster than the public has been led to believe. Today, it's common knowledge that heredity is governed by something called genes. Yet barely a generation ago this relationship was only beginning to be suspected. When it was suggested in 1944 by a theoretical physicist, Erwin Schrödinger, it was a novel idea. Beyond that, no one was too certain what genes were, aside from huge molecules or clusters of molecules. Some thought they were molecular chunks of protein. Some thought they were something else. When Schrödinger's ideas about genes were published, World War II was still raging, and basic scientific research was on a back burner. And yet, barely a half a dozen years later, researchers were zeroing in on a building block of life even more basic than genes. The solution was found to this revolutionary puzzle in April 1953 at Cambridge University in England. Scientists James Watson, Francis Crick, and Maurice Wilkins were later to share the Nobel Prize for solving the puzzle. They had discovered the molecular structure of DNA, the famous double helix. In 1968, Watson published a book titled The Double Helix, published by Atheneum, New York, New York. To understand the overwhelming importance of the double helix discovery in 1953, one need go no further than these few words on the jacket of the book. Quote, "DNA is the molecule of heredity, and to know its structure and method of reproduction enables science to know how genetic directions are written and transmitted, how the forms of life are ordered from one generation to the next." Unquote. In other words, to understand DNA is to begin to understand life itself. It has now been over a quarter century since the crucial discovery of the DNA double helix, and since then research in molecular biology has not been standing still, but speeding up. In some cases research has gone in directions which are deliberately sheltered from publicity because of the fear of public reaction. Not so long ago, for example, universities doing research into artificial microbes found their neighbors in an ugly mood when they found out about it. Test tube babies are now a reality, and that began not long ago in England, where the mystery of DNA was first unraveled. Then of course there are clones, that is, creatures which are reproduced by artificial means and which are exact duplicates of an original. Clones of all kinds of animals have been produced successfully in the laboratory, but that is not what bothers people. In the recent past it has been claimed that human clones are also possible, and that some may already be in existence. These last claims about human clones have been ridiculed, denied, and suppressed by all kinds of officials. The reason is that the idea of duplicate human beings impinges upon a super-secret realm of intelligence activities by both Russia and the United States. True clones are not involved, but something that bears a superficial resemblance to cloning is going on. And the last thing the powers that be want is for you and the public to have any hint about what is afoot. In Russia as well as in the West, research has been underway for many years in biological synthesis, that is, artificial life forms. And according to high intelligence, a stunning breakthrough took place in Russia some years ago. The Russians refer to this breakthrough as a providential discovery, something they learned almost by accident. They discovered the key to creating what are known as organic robotoids. An organic robotoid is an artificial robot-like creature. It looks and acts exactly like a human being, and yet it is not human. A robotoid is alive in the biological sense, but it is an artificial life form. Robotoids respond to conventional routine medical tests in the same way as humans do. They eat, they drink, they breathe, they bleed if cut, and they can be killed. Robotoids can also think, but they think only in the sense that a computer thinks. Like any other computer, the brain of a robotoid has to be programmed for each assignment it is given. But unlike many electronic computers, the biological computer brain of a robotoid possesses an enormous memory. As a result, robotoids can be programmed to communicate and think in such complex patterns that they act human. Organic robotoids are remarkable creatures, but they have many drawbacks. They don't grow or reproduce, but must be manufactured one by one in the desired form. They also have a very limited lifespan, measured in months or even weeks depending upon how they are utilized. This is due to the fact that their metabolism, while it resembles that of humans, is very inefficient. A robotoid can be manufactured on very short notice, a matter of hours. But after a few weeks or months it suddenly begins to degenerate physically and mentally. When that takes place, the robotoid has to be removed from service and disposed of. To extend its useful life as much as possible, A robotoid is customarily cooled down to slow its metabolism between assignments. Organic robotoids are extremely expensive, troublesome creatures to produce and utilize, and robotoid capabilities do not exceed those of human beings. All they can really do is simulate human beings. But my friends, for intelligence purposes, that's all they have to do. To produce an organic robotoid it is necessary to have a pattern to go by. The pattern required is that of genetic coding taken from a few cells from the body of a human being. In this respect the Russian technique sounds like cloning, but the technique itself is totally unrelated to genuine cloning. A robotoid is produced within a matter of hours, and it simulates the human donor at his current age. Like any man-made copy of anything, a robotoid is never a perfect copy of the human that is to be simulated. There's always small discrepancies in appearance and behavior, but these are seldom great enough to arouse any suspicion. When the initial Russian breakthrough in robotoids took place years ago, the Rockefeller-Soviet alliance was still functioning. The Christian group who now rule Russia were already secretly more powerful than the Bolsheviks, but the final overthrow had not yet taken place. When the robotoid breakthrough took place, they moved quickly to minimize the amount of information obtained about it by those Bolsheviks still retaining positions of power. They also tried to prevent information about it from leaking through intelligence channels to the CIA. Nevertheless, partial information did reach the CIA and the late four Rockefeller brothers. By early 1975 the Russians were known to have successfully created at least one organic robotoid in the laboratory. Meanwhile the CIA was coordinating a feverish research effort aimed at accomplishing the same feat. Up to now, robotoid technology in the United States is far behind that of Russia. The American capability in robotoids is not even close to being operational, whereas the Russians are deploying them right now. But there has been at least one attempt to create an organic robotoid for public use in the United States, and I'm referring to the final fate of the late General George S. Brown. In April 1977 I revealed how much General Brown had sacrificed by that time as the price of doing his duty for America. But not long after that, General Brown paid the supreme price for his actions. It is only now that I am free at last to reveal it. On July 10, 1977, General Brown was taken to CIA headquarters near Washington, D.C. in Virginia. There he was taken to one of the many secret rooms designed into the CIA building by Nelson Rockefeller. The room was a laboratory, and the attempt was made to create a robotoid replacement for General Brown. The techniques employed were far more crude than those used in the Russian process, since the CIA process required General Brown to be on the scene. The attempt ended in complete failure. A crude facsimile of General Brown was generated, but it refused to come to life. Even so, General Brown could not be allowed to live, because now he knew too much. And so on the evening of July 10, 1977, General George S. Brown, the last great patriot in the United States government, was murdered. A normal human double was found for General Brown, since a robotoid attempt had failed. This was the man who testified in the role of General Brown at the Congressional hearings on the Panama Canal Treaty September 27, 1977. At his side throughout, briefing and prompting him, was the Secretary of Defense Harold Brown. Occasionally the double would be flustered by a question and look down at the table in front of him until the Defense Secretary whispered something in his ear. Then he would look up again, say what he had been told, and so on. Once the Panama Canal hearings were out of the way, the double for the late General Brown was seen as little as possible in public. Soon there were stories that he had contracted cancer. Then the Air Force Chief of Staff General David Jones began acting as Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, months before the end of General Brown's tour of duty. In June 1978 we were told that General Brown was retiring, and last December 5, 1978, we were told he had died of cancer. At that point the General Brown double collected his pay and headed for Frankfurt, West Germany, where he landed on December 11, 1978 at 3:30 a.m. local time. It is a standing rule that doubles for important people never live long. And so at about 7:30 that evening, General Brown's double was shot to death in the back of the neck. Last month I revealed that an intelligence war of doubles had erupted in the United States. President Carter, Vice President Mondale, and their wives had fallen victim to this war of doubles as their Easter breaks away from Washington were ending. Now I'm sorry to report that Amy Carter, Billy Carter, Lillian Carter, and Hugh Carter all died soon after Jimmy and Rosalind did. All of them, including Amy, have been replaced by doubles. But instead of the Bolshevik doubles who had been waiting in the wings, those we are seeing are Russian organic robotoids. The voice of the Jimmy Carter double, which was reproduced last month in AUDIO LETTER No. 45, is the voice of a robotoid. That robotoid was the one who was dazzling everyone with his vigorous new image. Only a few months ago Carter had been limping around with what we were told were severe hemorrhoids, but now, out of the blue, here was a Carter who was a powerhouse, hiking, fishing, and jogging 10 miles a day. He also looked and sounded younger than before. That was the first robotoid double for Carter, which I referred to last month as Carter No. 2. By the time I recorded AUDIO LETTER No. 45, there was also another Carter robotoid making the rounds. This one, Jimmy Carter No. 3, was the one that attended the Holocaust observances in the Capitol building here in Washington. By contrast with Carter No. 2, No. 3 looks noticeably older and more haggard. As I mentioned earlier, robotoids are very good copies, but they are not perfect. No two look exactly alike. Last month I mentioned that the doubles for Jimmy and Rosalind Carter were spending a great deal of time at the Russian Embassy here in Washington instead of at the White House. Now I can tell you why. Robotoids are programmed at the Embassy for each assignment. Between assignments they simply rest there in a state of reduced metabolism. When the Bolshevik coup d'etat against the Rockefellers began 4 months ago, the Kremlin rulership already knew that Bolshevik doubles would soon be on the scene, and they knew that if the Bolsheviks were allowed to complete their takeover of the United States, Russia would soon suffer. The Bolshevik plans for nuclear war against Russia are a blueprint for suicide for America, but they have not been abandoned. Up until now the Russians had been keeping their robotoid capability under wraps, and there was a real question whether they would ever be used. But the Bolshevik coup d'etat convinced them the time had come to deploy the robotoids. Now they are using Nelson Rockefeller's hit list, and using their robotoids the Russians have already altered the course of world events in dramatic ways.
our synthetic humans have changed the world. How we live, how we work, how we exist. However, in recent days, a small number of our models have been experiencing some technical difficulties. Whilst these are isolated incidents, it is extremely important you monitor your synth for any unusual behavior. Is your synth experiencing issues with location recognition, facial expression output, physical coordination? If so, we need to urgently recall your unit and begin a process of complete recalibration. It is vital you do not attempt to reset a malfunctioning synth yourself, as doing so may void your warranty. Persona Synthetics is committed to resolving these user control issues, so we can continue to bring you products that are closer to humans than ever before. Visit personasynthetics.com/product recall for details of where to return your synth.
Stronger than ever before. Sally is part of your
What's your name?
a teacher.
Hello, my name is Sally. How are you today?
A friend.
Watch the part where, look at her eyes. Look how she crosses her eyes. Do you see her crossing her eyes? Look at that. Nobody's eyes can do that. Look at the way her eyes move around. The eyeball, the color, the iris. Nobody can cross their eyes like that. She's a robotoid. Look at that. Look at that. Look. She's a robotoid crossing her eyes like that. Because no human could cross their eye like that. It's just impossible. You could cross them in, but you can't move them around, or one eyeball move into the other. Let's look at that again. Now watch again the scene where she's talking, the one in the pink pants, the dark-headed one. And look at the way she moves her eyes. Both of her eye color, you know, the eye color part, the iris. Nobody's eyes moves around like that. You could look in like that, but look at how they move around in different directions. Watch again, look. See? One goes in more than the other, and both go in at the same time. Okay? This is a robotoid. She's a robot person, a human robot. And I think they've been making them a very long time. And I think it was way past, I would say in the 30s, maybe earlier. And I think basically Hollywood has been pre-robot.
Leave room for the Holy Ghost. Anyway, there is a lot of memories today, actually. It's a big day in music history.
35 years ago today, Elvis Presley passed away, the king of rock and roll. And as Mark Cohn says in his great song, Walking in Memphis, there's a pretty little thing waiting for the king down in...
Stare straight ahead. Put your feet firmly flat on the floor, hands uncrossed on your laps, and just begin to relax and just listen to each and every word I say, okay? Now, from this point forward, all I want you to do is just relax in your chair, put your back in the chair, and just relax. Now, what I'd like you to do is find a light in the ceiling for me and begin to stare at the light. And I want you to understand, when you find a light somewhere in the room, and now understand, the more you stare, the more tired you become and the more you will relax. I want you to just block out any thought processes and sounds and just begin to stare at the light. And of course, if you have to close your eyes, I'm going to simply invite you to take breaths in with me. Understand, every breath you take and every word I say, and out, and just relax.
We're going to let Richard continue his work through the commercial break.
Moments, but not yet. Eyes open, fully alert. Welcome back, everybody.
Do you not remember this, Al or Natalie?
I don't. I remember some pressure, but I didn't connect it with my shoe. Wait, where's my wallet?
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. You guys, everybody okay?
Thank you. We're okay.
Yeah, all good.
Okay.
But it's been a heck of a ride, to be honest. I really can't complain. Yeah, I was kind of I was a little down when I found out I was injured and I had to have surgery again, or you know, with another knee. But at the end of the day, you know, I have amazing teammates. You know, guys like Draymond, everybody on this team, they come over there, they wrap their hands around me like, yo.
To introduce Marshall Mathers. Some of you may know him as Eminem, but he's going to join the Saturday night crew with our music intro starting next Saturday night. But folks, I want to take you to the world premiere of one of his new videos called Berserk. Take a listen. It's headed for the top of the charts. Rick Rubin, who was helping produce that with you, Marshall, when you did that?
Yeah, sorry. Live TV. Live TV freaks me out a little bit.
No.
Yes, I'm sorry. What was the question?
That was Mr. Rubin, one of the all-time greats producer. Huh?
Yep.
How long does it take you to shoot a video like that? How many takes and how many hours?
Sometimes it's usually like a 2-day process. Sometimes it could go to 3. It's a lot of takes. It's a lot of sitting around waiting, but it's cool. I mean, if the video comes out, then I guess it's worth it. You know.
You want to take it a break?
Yeah, we'll take. You know.
I'm feeling great. I feel nervous, a little bit overwhelmed. I feel a little shaky. I don't know what's wrong with me. No, but it's good. No, it's good. It's good. It's good. You're looking good. It's a good. You look great.
Cardi B joining me! Oh my God, I've been dying to talk. How are you?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling nervous, overwhelmed, everything.
You feel it all right now.
I feel it all. Woo, butterfly in my stomach and vagina.
Okay. I love you. Why do I love you? Well, I know I love you so much. The same reason everyone loves you. Because you speak your mind, Cardi B. You do not hold back.
Yeah, well, I love it too. Sometimes it gets me in trouble, whoever's in there.
Have you always been like that, though, since you're a little girl?
Yes. I know for a fact that all the teachers from kindergarten to high school, I know they remember me.
Yeah.
I know they do.
They do not forget you.
No, I know they don't, because they always say, like, you're so special. We see you somewhere, and it's just like, okay, but are you going to pass me?
You're so special. We see you so.
Motorsport. So good. And I love what you bring to motorsport. And you even say at one point in it, you say something like about the source. Like, you need to go to the source. Like, you come to me, and you're all about that, right? Like, if someone, there's so many rumors out there, people are always talking, and you say, you know what? Who's the source? Like, come to me. I'll tell you the truth.
Yes, it's true, because it's like everybody always talking about that somebody got a problem with me, or somebody always saying that I'm pregnant every 2 weeks. So it's just like, if y'all wanna know, ask me. I'll tell you.
So you want to clear any rumors right now that are out there?
There's none right now. I'll find out tomorrow. I'll go to a gossip site. I've been trying to get away from gossip sites.
You have?
Yes.
You're trying to, like, stop looking at that stuff and reading all that stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. How's that going for you?
It's been It's like everybody always talking about that somebody got a problem with me, or somebody always saying that I'm okay. I haven't replied back to no bad comments like in 5 days.
There we go. There we go. By the way, how you got engaged recently, a few months ago.
Yes.
Offset. How's that planning going? Any plans yet? Anything you can tell us?
You know, I really do want to get married this year. It's just like we have to figure it out because we both dropping albums. He already dropped his album. I'm dropping an album. We have to touring, and there's so many things that I'm planning to do. And it's just like it's not only just a one-day thing. It has to be like a 1 week and a half thing. You know, we got to do a honeymoon.
That's right. You do have to do a honeymoon.
Advice to young women out there watching right now who want to be in your footsteps, who want to be standing here one day.
Do whatever you have to do. People always want to tell you how to do it. No, do it your way. And don't ask for like, oh, how can you do it? Do it, figure it out. I figured it out one way or another, and I did it.
Before I let you go, who are you wearing this evening? Show us your outfit here.
I'm wearing a She, Christian Louboutin, and I'm wearing jewelry by Masika, and this from my fiance, Christina.
Look at that. Wow.
That is beautiful.
He did good, girl.
He did do good. Look at that. Wow. I watched that video of when he proposed. Do you watch that? When's the last time you saw that video, and how does it make you feel?
It makes me feel good, you know, even when we do get into bad arguments. And you know how when you get into bad arguments, you'll be like, do he really loves me? And I'll be like, he bought me a $500,000 ring. Yeah, he does. He do.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cardi B. I love you. Good to see you.
Yo, what's up?
I'm just not feeling it.
Last name ever, first name great.
How do you do it? I look on Twitter, there you are. Facebook, there you are. Television, there you are. How do you do it?
I have a clone.
I was going to say that. There's two of you.
Cat's out the bag. Okay? It's about a good 3 of me. You know, we broke it. They didn't want to release it yet. This is major news that I'm giving you.
All right.
I'm the first person to ever use it. I'm cloned.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it.
So I'm able to do all that I do.
How do you do it? I look on Twitter, there you are. Facebook, there you are. Television, there you are. How do you do it?
I have a clone.
I was going to say that. There's two of you.
Cat's out the bag. Okay? It's about a good 3 of me. You know, we broke it. They didn't want to release it yet. This is major news that I'm giving you.
All right.
I'm the first person to ever use it. I'm cloned.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it.
So I'm able to do all that I do. I have a clone.
I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice. Tumbling down the rabbit hole?
You could say that.
I can see it in your eyes. You have the look of a man who accepts what he sees because he is expecting to wake up. Ironically, this is not far from the truth. Do you believe in fate, Neo?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't like the idea that I'm not in control of my life.
I know exactly what you mean. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The Matrix.
Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. What is the Matrix? Control. The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world, built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into this.